Welcome back to the Exorcist, Bestiary. Welcome back to the Exorcist, Bestiary. It's been a minute. That's my fault. I got really busy and I didn't record a podcast.
It's a little bit all of our, well, except Tasha.
It is mostly my fault.
Well, we also recorded a Christmas album somewhere
That's
in the middle
so
of there
true.
that took up a lot of our spare time. You can go check it out. It's under the artist name 1208 Greenwood Church, and it's called Of Stars and Straw. Features songs from Amity, songs from me, songs from Tasha.
Not Tasha, but songs from Jay Bird.
No.
Oh, yeah, she's on
And
there
songs
too.
from our friend Janae. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be Jay Min and Jay Bird and Janae and
Jamity. Jamity.
No, thank you for that.
Wow, all right.
I could be Jezebel because everyone in my TikTok comments calls me a Jezebel.
Oh no.
Wow.
That could be my new artist name.
Don't.
No.
It's not worth it.
We're still, believe it or not, in our series about the fruits of the Spirit and how the fruits of the Spirit are helpful in the process of deliverance and exorcism, because that's what this podcast is about. And turns out there's a lot of fruits of the Spirit, and when you take a really long break in the middle of recording podcasts, it takes a long time to go through all the fruits. But have three more, right?
Yeah.
And today is about faithfulness.
Faithfulness.
Yes.
I
that
have
was in
not
my
been
mind.
faithful in my recording of podcasts.
That was not in my mind.
I have been unfaithful to the podcast.
Well, in this particular episode, we'll talk about faithfulness and like how does that apply to deliverance. And the ideas that come to my mind is, we've said it many times before, but deliverance ministry is very much kind of like a recovery ministry. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to require faithfulness on your behalf to come alongside these people to help them with what they're going through. It also is going to take faithfulness on the participants' behalf to step into it. And you might need some help discerning like where those lines are, because in recovery things, you can end up doing too much for the person. That person can end up accidentally becoming codependent instead of faithful. There's a lot of different ways in which things can go. And so we thought maybe we can just talk about, the areas that you can look for to make sure that you're keeping everything on track. So where to start? I think probably with the participant, because you've usually hit a point if you're going to step into deliverance ministry.
Yeah, no one's like, oh man, I'm having a really bad day. First step, let me find an exorcist.
Right.
Usually you hit a couple walls and you get to a pretty low point before you're willing to be like, exorcism.
Yeah. So you're at a point when you step into it where you're more curious or hopeful than you are maybe faithful, right?
Yeah.
Because you probably don't understand yet when you're coming to that point, like, hey, this is going to take a while. We're going to have more than one meeting, and we're going to sort through whatever the Spirit wants to sort through until we find the healing we're looking for.
I think desperation probably comes into it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, nothing else has been working. Let me throw this at the wall.
I'll try everything.
And so, like, when we work with new people, because me and Tasha have worked with a few new people here and there that we've met less with, because we always recognize when we're getting into it, it's like, hey, we're going to give you a taste of what this is like. You're going to have one session. You don't have to like commit to weeks or months of this, but we're going to give you one session so you can see what it's like. You can see how it feels. You can see if it's helpful. And then after that, you can tell us, are you comfortable with this? Do you want to keep doing it? And then I recognize like we will grow in our faithfulness to each other based on how far they want to go. Whereas if we come in, I think, real strong, like it can be a little intimidating, just like, hey, this is going to take forever. And you, not even forever, just like, we don't know how long this is going to take. And you're going to have to really press in if you want to do this. And, like that.
That's crazy that you say that, because actually when I asked for help first and was very nervous, that's exactly the first thing you said to me. Because you were like, this is going to take a really, really long time and it might be really hard. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I told you I was feeling sad lately. What do you mean?
Yeah. Well.
But now I'm on a podcast, so the strategy, I guess, worked.
No, I mean, especially during that time, I was working on some really lengthy ones. So, and occasionally, if you
Amity, all of your problems are really, really special and complicated.
That's not what I meant.
You have worse problems than everyone else.
That's not what I
It's
said
gonna
at all.
take forever.
There are some people who, okay, if I'm trying, let me remember your story a little bit.
He forgot.
No.
He forgot.
No, I'm thinking back to the
My
first days.
spiritual mentor forgot the ways in which he spiritually mentored me.
I'm thinking back to the first days. I feel like you were in one of those desperate places where it was like, this has to work right now.
Yep.
Or, blankety blank, all these
I
things.
was kind of like, hey, fix all my problems right now, and then I'm gonna dip out.
In which case, there is a time to be like, hey, this is going to take a bit. I need you to stick with me.
I didn't like that.
I also had a relationship with you already, so I was able to speak into our friendship as it was. Whereas with new people that me and Tasha have met, like some of them come just like, yeah, so what do you do? Just wave your magic fingers and something. It's like, no. We're going to show you what it's like, and then you have time to kind of sit with it.
And then we're going to wave our magic fingers.
Yeah. I think it's part of that desperation that they're coming to us, and a lot of them have sleeping problems. They have, and it's just all of those things are coming to this huge head, and it's just a desperation to something has got to give, so.
Yeah. And really, for the most part, most people have continued to come back. I can think of a few people I've only ever met with once.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's all right. They just didn't quite know what to do with it, or just felt like, I got what I wanted out of one time, or things like that.
Or were first forced to come.
Yeah, or other people. Yeah. There's occasionally, we've talked about that, when people are like forcing you to come, like that's not really helpful.
That puts you in such an awkward position too.
Yes, it does. But when we're creating space for people to just like come test, see what it's like, taste and see that the Lord is good, and if you liked it, we'll keep going. Okay, so then we move into a place where we start developing faithfulness with each other, which is why it's good to do deliverance ministry with more than one person, because another person with you becomes another ally to come alongside them. So if me and Tasha are working with a person, that person can expect text from both of us, can expect to reach out to both of us. We can have a group chat if that seems more appropriate than one-on-one, which occasionally is the case. And you can create space for them to continue reaching out and growing. And depending on how well you know them, this is going to take some time for them to trust you to keep coming with their stuff, and for you to figure out how much they're willing to let you reach out to them and speak into it. So that varies a bit from person to person. And of course, when it's a friend like Jamity over here, now we're good with that name?
Yes. This is I'm having an active mental choose your battles type moment. I'm not choosing Jamity as my battle. I'm saving my energy to be facetious about something else later. What's your point you're gonna make?
I don't know anymore. Now I'm focused on this.
You said we were friends. You said we best friends.
When you're
best friends,
when you're
number
working
one friend, better
with
friend than
your
anyone else in the
best
world.
friends, then you have the space to be a bit more direct and whatnot. But otherwise, you kind of got to earn that through faithfulness. So
That's true.
yeah. Is there anything so far you guys want to add?
Would you describe faithfulness as it pertains to this conversation as just like the commitment to do it again and again and again? Or is like faithfulness in your mind, does that translate as a synonym to just like longevity or commitment? Or does that have like a more spiritual connotation than that?
I think it's a commitment to the Spirit's wisdom and direction to some extent here, because this is like a recovery type thing. Wisdom and faithfulness can look a little different. And that's really tough to figure out sometimes when you have to either have like that hard conversation with someone about like, I don't think you really want to change, like that's, if you get to those kinds of points where it's like, I'm burning myself out over here. I've given you every single last piece of advice that I can, but I don't think ultimately you care, so I don't know what more to give. So how do I be faithful to you? Because God is faithful. How do I be faithful to you anyways, recognizing you don't want to change? And that's not the case for everybody, but you might run into some. And that actually hasn't been the case for anyone I've done deliverance with. But in recovery, you can get to that point where it's like, we've been fighting the same exact battle every day for 4 years. Are you sure you want to change? And those tough love conversations that need to be grounded in love, those might kind of shift what faithfulness looks like in a season. Whereas it's like,
And there have been times in which a break was required, not because the participant wasn't faithful or, we weren't faithful, but that, things had to happen and, take a break and then you come back and say, hey, does the Spirit have anything now? Nope. Okay, let's take a little break. Come back. Hey, does the Spirit have anything now? Yes. Okay, let's jump in.
I feel like sometimes those stretches of things that feel like inactivity requires even more faithfulness, right? Because it's easy to show up for something when you're seeing results in the way that you want over and over and over and over again. But if it comes to a point where the Spirit is like, you need some time and you need some space and you need to work on this and work on that, and then kind of there's a little bit more silence and a little bit more waiting, that's when the faithfulness kind of has to be kicked into high gear. Because you're like, I still have to commit myself to this. I still have to trust the Spirit, even when it's not yielding the kind of result I want. I'm still having to choose to be faithful when it's not coming naturally.
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, and those are the times where, like you said, those it's the hardest because you're like, what am I getting out of this? Which is not the point, but it's where our brains start to go, right? And I find that one of God's tests, I think, just ultimately in life is, will you be faithful even if I'm not talking?
Yeah.
I think maybe Jesus went through that in the desert. Maybe not. He certainly went through some kind of test.
Yeah.
The desert feels like an absence of God from a metaphor standpoint, absence of life and abundance and all these things. But it's there in the midst of not hearing. If we can be faithful into that, look how Jesus shows up on the other side, right? And so you may have some people that during their own testing, where God is surprisingly quiet all of a sudden, will they be faithful through it? You got to overcome demons. You got to overcome these forces of power. Can you only overcome them when the miraculous is happening around you and God is speaking clearly? Or are you faithful enough to keep fighting even when it seems like he hasn't been talking in forever? That's a tough place, and I think people going through deliverance, we face that sometimes. God likes to give us a boost to help us through it, but then also sometimes he makes up for it on the other side. So there's that too. Yeah, so to some extent, it's the faithfulness of the person. We're inviting them into a recovery outlet. But then it's a bit of our faithfulness in return to them. And you gotta kind of read into the wisdom of God to see what that looks like at every turn. There have been some very severe spiritual warfare cases I've worked on with people where I've been just at their side to help them as much as I possibly can. And then there have been some other ones where I have only ever seen them when they walk into the room for whatever we're working on. So it can vary from case to case and what the Spirit puts on your heart to step into. Yeah.
How do you maintain that faithfulness as somebody who exists in a lot of those different relationship levels and contexts? How do you remain equally as faithful to someone that you see once a month or however frequently they come in? How do you remain faithful to them in the same way that you remain faithful to someone that you're helping who you see every week, multiple times a week, is a friend, is hanging out? How do you, as somebody who's guiding people through this, how do you manage that?
I think when you first start out, you're meeting with them weekly, is usually how it goes. But you're also sending texts, hey, we dealt with some heavy stuff. How are you doing today? And so you're touching that contact through that. And just depending on how heavy it is, what you're dealing with. Sometimes you're going 2 weeks in between breaks, and just having that point of contact of, hey, it's been a week. How's it going? So.
Yeah, Tasha and I, when we sit with new people, we say, first time you come in, we need about 2 hours just to hear what's going on, teach you how we do this, and then let you experience how we're doing it. In the coming weeks, we'll, depending on what seems right, we'll meet every week for a bit, and then we'll slow down to bi-weekly, and we'll slow down to monthly. So faithfulness in those ways becomes like, what's going on with your case? Like, what does it require of us? Ironically, I wish God would just tell me, like, how much does this person need? And any time that I've tried to be like, God, would you like to give us an understanding as to how consistently we should meet? Like, the participants have often heard answers that are all in the same vein of, you'll know when you know, or I trust you to figure it out, and things like that, where he just doesn't micromanage. He just allows us to be like, okay, well, I guess we'll go 2 weeks out, and if something changes, then send us a text and we'll set something up so we can work again.
A lot of it is based on I don't know what to call it, like the symptoms that they're having. Are they having trouble sleeping? Are they having, daily trouble doing something because something's interfering? If it's something like that, we're going to meet more. If it's just, I don't really know what, but something less than that, sometimes it'll be 2 weeks. It just really depends on how much interference that they're having, and sometimes that changes during the process. If we're getting somewhere, sometimes it ramps up how much they're gonna interfere, how much they're gonna be jerks, how much they're gonna throw stuff at the participants, and that means that we're touching their lives more and we're more interactive with them.
I think of a time where I had one participant who sleep was just not going well, and spiritually that was being used against them, because the less and less they slept, the more mentally coherent they could be, the harder it was to fight in the battle. And if you don't get enough sleep, it turns from visions to hallucinations. And so they were sleeping less and less, and the effects on them were growing and growing and growing. And I could tell that demons were using the effects against them. So any things that used to just be scary dreams were now turning into scary visions, scary hallucinations, things like that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be more helpful in this fight, because until we can overcome all of this by getting sleep, we can't move anywhere. And so I just looked for the Spirit for help, and he showed us what kind of things to do to get the sleep, which then over time grew and grew and grew until all of the weight of all those things eventually went away. But phase by phase, we had to work it out to calm it down. So when faithfulness is staring at you saying we need help to... You're going to need some extra faithfulness to figure this out. Then okay, I got to step in and figure this out. But demons will also try to... demons can also try to amp you up to feel like you got to take care of it right away, so that your life is at every whim. So you got to discern, what of this is that thing messing with me as the helper, versus what of this is my faithfulness to them. So discernment, always a good thing in deliverance ministry. Anything else on this topic from you guys?
I think for the participant, so a big part of their freedom is the Spirit revealing ways in which they're being lied to, and revealing the truth of God to them. And a large part for the participant is being faithful to that, because it requires a thought shift, a behavior shift, some kind of shift from them. And it's easier at first because, you have all of these bad things being thrown at you. Yes, I want to change because I want those bad things to stop. And then, they have a shift, they're free, and but now it comes time to maintain it, to be faithful to the truth that's been revealed to you in order to stay free. And I think that's a big part for the participants.
Yeah. You're saving your energy to destroy us about something. Probably me. Did you find it?
What? No.
I called you Jamity. You said you had a different focus you were going for.
It's going to reveal itself when the time comes. Be faithful.
Just wait for it.
Yeah, be faithful and wait for it. I have nothing to add.
All right. I'm scared for these future episodes we're about to do.
I'm excited.
I'm not. The next 2 episodes are about gentleness and self-control, 2 things I am not and don't have.
Okay, well, more from Amity when we get to those ones. We'll let her be our example.
No!
You have plenty. My example of gentleness.
Aww.
Okay. Anyway, are we wrapping it up on
You're
faithfulness?
gonna wrap it up.
All right. You may have noticed we're not in our normal recording location. I was going to mention this at the top of the video. Forgot! We are recording. Once again, we did this last year when Jamin's garage got too cold because we live in Michigan and it's frigid here. But we are recording in the absolutely beautiful, wonderful, incredible Fossori's chapter house located in Jackson, Michigan. This house is quite literally my favorite place on the whole entire planet Earth.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's a retreat center. Retreat center, frankly, doesn't feel like a word that does it justice, but it's a retreat center for creative pastors to be like nurtured and encouraged and uplifted. And our friend Dave McDonald is the steward of the house, and they do a lot of really, really awesome work here. If you care about leadership in ministry, or you want to know more about being a leader in ministry, I would highly recommend that everybody check it out. You can check it out at the website Fossori's Chapter House. There's retreats. We have pastors that come in from all over the world if you want to come in for a retreat. You can also give the chapter house money and help it continue to do the cool things that it is doing.
And me and Amity go to the pastor retreats every month.
Yeah!
So come join us.
Yeah, we go to the pastor retreats
One
pretty much every
of
month.
them is happening in Dallas, Texas this year, too.
I know. I texted Dave and I was like, I want to go to Texas. And then I texted him as soon as I saw the thing. And he was like, yeah, that'd be amazing. And then as I read it more, I think the intentionality was people in Texas go to that, not all of our friends from Michigan fly to Texas and do what we do here in another state. I think the poll was other pastors who it's easier for them to get to Texas and Michigan. But I was like, I want to go to Texas. I got the dates off work, so.
Well, if you want to go to Texas, we won't bring the house with us, but you might see Amity, maybe.
We'll see.
Seemed unsure there toward the end. So.
Anyway, thank you, Chapter House, for letting us film here. And that's all for this episode of the Exorcist Bestiary, stream our Christmas album. And, la 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 la.
We love you, besties.
see if Amity can hit the high notes on our new Christmas trick.
I don't think I can.